to episode 2 of season 2 of the Phoenix Rise podcast. This is the place where we have unfiltered, unapologetic conversations so that you can create unparalleled results in your business, your life, and your leadership. So we are going to dive right in today. I had come with the plan of talking about one thing, and then I just had a DM conversation with someone and it sparked a whole new topic that I want to dive into. So I'll save the other one for another time because at the moment I'm feeling really lit up by this. And this is all about cultivating focus as a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Something I know a lot about as a fellow multi-passionate, currently running 3 businesses, always having new ideas in the forefront of my mind, always having constant downloads, constant thoughts, constant ideas about what I should do next. And how do we know where to put our focus? How do we spread ourselves across all of these areas of passion without burning ourselves out? Tie that in with being a single mum of 2, of overcoming a 15-year abusive relationship, and of really stepping into new sectors as well, trailblazing the way into new industries. And so we're going to dive in this episode, really into how do we manage that in the best way possible, and how do we know where to put our focus? And I am speaking as a generator, okay? So my human design is to respond to the universe. But I don't think it matters what human design you are. Ultimately, it's about allowing yourself to follow what lights you up, to follow your passion, to follow your purpose, because the profit will follow those P's. But we get so caught up in the hustle and the doing and the being that we forget about the living, right? We forget about what we are actually here to experience. And I know there's, this is another episode, but there's this whole load of conversation around hustle culture and burnout and the rat race and all this kind of stuff. For me, this is something that I have definitely contradicted myself on in the past, and that's fine, right? Because that's growth, that's evolution, that's leadership right there. Always constantly asking yourself, does this still align with my thoughts of who I am now? Or have I grown? Have I now got new knowledge, new angles, new awareness around this that enable me to see it from another angle? And so for me, hustle culture is a big part of that. And I want to dive into this a little bit because this really encompasses what we're talking about, okay, as a multi-passionate, because it is very easy to fall into hustle when we are multi-passionate, especially because we have so much to do, right? We have so much to do. And especially if you're trying to do it all on your own. If you haven't yet employed anyone, maybe you haven't got a VA yet, and you're just being all things to all people at all times in all businesses. Or even if it's not separate businesses, it can be multiple offers, right? Multiple layers of your cake that are part of your offering. That also is part of being multi-passionate. It just means that you're diverse. You have more than one passion, and that is absolutely human, right? Humans are multi-passionate. And I think it's just this whole era of leaders now feeling that they're okay and that they're able to admit it and to say, yeah, I'm a multi-passionate. Because we used to get so caught up and think, well, if I say that, it's going to dilute my authority. It's going to dilute my leadership in this sector that is my mastery, right? And it's actually no. We can be masters of multiple things. We are not one-dimensional. We are multi-dimensional beings, and we are able to be masters of multiple things at one time. We're very clever as human beings. It's not like we can only be good. That old phrase, right? A jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's just a closed mindset perspective. That is not true. You can be a master of many things at many times. And at separate times as well. But anyway, I digress because I like to go on tangents. It's like my brain. I swear I'm ADHD. But anyway, so hustle, right? It's really easy to fall into this hustle culture of just doing and doing and doing when we're trying to keep all things afloat. And I speak this from experience. I have been there. So, and I like to speak on my journey, okay? Because this is how I like to learn, by actually relaying to someone's real life what they have experienced themselves. And it makes it easier to understand. So for me, I have 3 businesses at this very moment. That is probably going to change. It always changes. So I have my corporate business, which I started with a decade ago. I have my crystal business, which I burnt to the ground. It's very successful, burnt it to the ground a year ago, is now rebuilding and relaunched as the UK's first crystal franchise. And I have my self-development, my coaching world here, Phoenix, which you're listening to, which is all about mentorship, high-level coaching, leadership, and female empowerment. So those at the moment are my 3 businesses. In each of those businesses are also multiple offerings, multiple services, multiple ways in which I help people. I do have 2 VAs. I also have a team who run my corporate business. So that is not so much on my plate anymore, but the crystals and Phoenix are very much me. Like I say me, it's not just me, but it's a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, especially because both are quite new. So I've literally gone into 2 different markets, penetrated them, disrupted them, held my authority and my leadership in them, leaning on my past experiences of being an entrepreneur for a decade. And I'm doing this all at the same time. So I've run simultaneously launching the UK's first ever crystal franchise, with launching my first ever mastermind, with launching my first ever high ticket coaching, with becoming a speaker for the first time. So it's very easy to slip into the hustle, right? And to do. And to not necessarily do any of it well. But even if we are doing it well, we're not giving it 100% because we're tired and we're frustrated because we're not doing what we want to be doing. We're doing what we feel like we have to be doing. And therefore we fall into that trap of hustle. We're doing more because we're not giving it our best in the first place, because we're spreading ourselves too thin. The clients aren't getting the service that they deserve. We're not getting the fulfillment that we desire. And it's just a cycle of like a shit show, basically. It's just not good. So how do we sort this out? How do we resolve this? Okay, so what I did first and foremost is I gave myself grace. Okay, now this might sound really like, like what? But I have always been my own worst critic. I've always been so hard on myself. I've always been the one beating myself up for not being further, for not seeing X results, for not living my dream life yet, for not, being in Fortune 500 yet, whatever it is, not being in Forbes magazine, like all of these kind of pillars, these goalposts that we set ourselves, that until we reach them, we're not successful, we're not doing well enough, we're not where we want to be. And so we do more and we do more and we do more. And we're just in that constant hamster wheel. So I allowed myself grace to actually take my foot off the gas and to start enjoying life. And the irony is we don't want to do this, right? Because we feel like as soon as we take our foot off the gas, everything is going to fall to shit. Like everything is going to crash around us. Our businesses are going to start failing. We're going to be like homeless and bankrupt, because we always go to worst case scenario. That's what I did anyway. And it's just not going to happen, because when I say take my foot off the gas, I don't mean stop showing up. I don't mean stop being of service. I don't mean hiding in your bed for days, like crying, wondering what's going on and just letting everything collapse. What I mean is doing things that light you up during the day. So going to the gym, going for a sauna, going for lunch, going for a walk, like whatever it might be, sitting by the pool, sitting in your hot tub, right? It can be anything, but get the fuck away from your laptop. First and foremost, get away from your laptop and start living your life. Because the thing is when we do that, that's when we get our most creative downloads, right? I've said this so many times, but your creativity does not come when you are head down in a pile of to-do lists and you don't know what to do. You are not in your creative mind in that moment. You are in the doing. That's all that's happening. No creativity is flowing. So when you allow yourself to step out of that and actually do something that really fills up your soul. I mean, it can be anything, right? The sky is the limit. Go and get your nails done. Go and have a facial. Go and have a massage. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, it doesn't matter what it is as long as it lights you up. Go and do that. I don't care how much is on your to-do list. Make time for that every single day. Every single day. Because the days that you don't do that are the days it feels harder. The days you come, like you get to bed and you're like, what the fuck did I do today? Like, I just feel like I worked all day. It shouldn't feel like work. If you are living in your purpose and you're doing what you're here to do and you're creating a movement that is so much bigger than you and you're here to live a legacy, it should not feel like work. It should just feel like living your best life. Like, I'm recording this podcast now and it lights me up. I'm so passionate about the messages that I have to share, about the movement that I'm here to create, about the women that I'm here to empower. This is like, I couldn't want anything better in this very moment. That is what it should be in any one of your businesses, right? So when we go back to focus, because I know I've been on a bit of a tangent, this is just how I teach, okay? So if you can't keep along with my train of thought, then I may not be the best teacher for you. But how do we focus when we have all of that going on? So we take our step away, we go and do what lights us up. And when we're doing that, we allow the creativity to flow. And then we follow it, right? We follow where that creativity takes us. So is it taking us to this business? Is it taking us to one of our other businesses? Is it taking us to maybe reaching out to one of our coaching clients? Is it taking us to creating a new offer that we haven't thought of before? What is it taking us to? This is where the focus comes, right? It's in those moments of space and of being and of receiving what life is here to give you. Pleasure, fulfillment, fun. When we're in the receiving of that energy, that will give us the creativity that will then give us the clarity of where to focus. The creativity comes in the ease, in the allowance, in the auto drive, right? I was trying to think of an analogy then. In the auto drive, that's when the creativity comes. And then the clarity comes from the creativity, not the other way around. You can't be doing and expecting to know where to focus because you're not in your creative mind. You need to get out of your head, get into your body, get into your creativity, and then the clarity will follow. It will follow the creativity. And this is what I have found the best way to be a multi-passionate. And most of the clients that come into my world are multi-passionate leaders because you attract who you are, right? So that's just the energy that I tend to attract into my space. And the thing is, people ask me all the time, How do you have this much energy? Like, you run 3 businesses, you have 2 kids, you do it all on your own. Like, how is that even possible? And my answer is always the same, because I don't do anything that doesn't light me up. If I am not lit up in that very moment, I don't do it. I delegate, I outsource, or I remove it. Because when I'm trying to force something, that is not going to be my best work. I'm not being of service to whatever it is, a project, a client, anything, right? I am not giving it my all, because my heart isn't in it in that moment. And you might be wondering, okay, but what if it's like a deadline? What if I have to do this by X day? Okay. So let's say, I've heard this one so many times. Okay. My tax return. What about, I don't ever want to do my tax return, right? Okay. And do you know what I always say? Why the fuck are you doing your tax return? Get an accountant to do it. Get someone else to do it. Seriously. We have to step out of this mentality of needing to do everything ourselves because it saves money, right? That is scarcity mindset. That is lack mindset right there. You are not going to grow from that space, because we have to invest in order to grow. Whether it's investing in ourselves, in our own mentorship, in staff, in employees, in VAs, in products, in masterminds, we have to invest in order to grow. If you are not willing to invest in your time, you are never going to achieve the 7-figure success that you desire, because you are not going to get there from where you are right now. You have to grow. You have to know how to be able to maximize your time. And so this is even more important as being a multi-passionate, because we have so many facets in our businesses, in our lives, in our legacies that we're building. If you are not able or willing to delegate things that don't light you up, to outsource things that aren't your zone of genius, to employ people to maximize your reach and maximize your impact and maximize your profit, how are you ever going to grow and scale? You're not. You're not. And I know this is a learning curve, right? And we always go to that, well, I'm not earning enough at the moment in order to do that. And I swear to God, I have heard that said from people like at the very beginning of the ladder to people earning multiple 6 figures. The mindset stays the same, because it's never enough until you tell yourself it is enough. You're never going to feel ready. You just have to do it, right? You just have to do it. You've done the hard work. You're already an entrepreneur. You're already successful. You already have clients. You already know that you can do this, that this is your zone of genius, right? That this lights you up. And if it doesn't, you need to go back to the drawing board and find something that does, because that's never going to be a life of true fulfillment if it doesn't light you up. Anyway, you have to allow yourself to grow in the process. And the way that we grow is by bringing people along with us. Okay, so that's like, again, a little tangent that I went on there, but it all encompasses this focus and this clarity, right? Because if you're not outsourcing, if you're not delegating, then you're not going to allow yourself that time freedom to take your foot off the gas, to go and do the things that actually light you up and give you pleasure during the day, so that you can get into your creativity, so that you can find the clarity as to where to put your focus. That's it. Simple. It's so simple, but most people don't want to do it because they're scared. They're scared of putting their focus into the wrong thing, of spending too much time on one thing. But the truth of the matter is, if you are feeling drawn to that very thing in that very moment, it can't be wrong. It can't possibly be wrong, because you're doing what feels good. How is that ever wrong? It can't be. It's only what you're telling yourself in your mind about, but I should be doing this, I should be spending more time on this, and if I don't do this, and that's going to fall away. This is all mindset stuff. The actual fact of the matter is, if you are doing something that lights you up in any one moment, that can never be wrong. It can never be wrong. It's only you telling yourself it's wrong that makes you feel like it's wrong, right? But you have to allow yourself that time and that freedom to explore where your creativity is pulling you. And that will shed light on where you need to put your focus. That will give you the clarity that you are desiring. But the clarity does not come in the hustle. It does not come in the doing. It does not come in the grinding at your MacBook for the next 12 hours. You have to step back. You have to re-energize. You have to recalibrate. You have to come back to yourself. Come back to source and allow it to come to you. Allow it to come to you instead of trying to force it out of your mind. It's not going to come from the force. It has to come from the allowance. Okay. I feel like I covered so many things in that podcast, but that really just channeled through me from the DM conversations that I had earlier. So I really hope that gives you some clarity. No pun intended, but I hope that gives you some clarity on how you find clarity, on how you decide where to focus, on how to know where to put your energy as a multi-passionate, and feeling, what's the word here? Feeling secure enough in your own authority, in your own level of leadership, that talking about more than one thing, spending your time on different things will not dilute that in any way. It will not dilute the authority that you have in that industry, in that sector, in that aspect of your business. It will amplify it because it will show your audience what you're made of. It will show your audience how you lead yourself first, how you are as an entrepreneur first, how you are as a leader to yourself and to your businesses and to your teams before you can lead other people. And so, with that being said, give yourself the grace to allow yourself to receive that creativity, because you are a creative being, but you have to allow those downloads to come. Because that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, right? You get to act on them. You get to manifest them into real life. Like, that's so exciting. And as a multi-passionate, as an outed multi-passionate, right? You're not in the closet anymore. As someone who is out and proud, you get to play. You get to play. Just remember, there's no such thing as getting it wrong. There's only redirection. There's only your body telling you, this doesn't feel good today. Don't like that anymore. Okay, pivot, redirect, start again. I do it all the fucking time. This is the journey. This is the ride. This is what we're here to experience. And if you keep moving, and if you keep taking action, and if you keep staying in alignment with what lights you up, with your purpose, with your North Star, with your vision, your success is inevitable. But the law of polarity is you have to experience failure in order you have to experience failure in order to experience success. So allow yourself to experience all of it, because you cannot have one without the other. So stop being so scared of making the wrong move, the wrong decision, the wrong choice, the wrong place to focus, and just follow your heart, follow your passion, follow your body, follow what lights you up that day. It cannot be wrong. If it feels good, it cannot be wrong. And that is what I have to say about that. Okay, that is episode 2. Done. And as always, if you want more insight, more impact, if you want to work closer in proximity, you can reach out in the DMs, hit me up. I am here to help leaders live their legacy, create the impact and the income that they desire and that they're worthy of, step into their millionaire movement. That's what my mission is all about. Through all of my businesses, I might add, that's like the gold thread that runs through all of my businesses, creating the millionaire movement, empowering as many women as possible to step into their 7-figure year. This was really fun. See, this was really fun. And I'm going to go have a cup of tea because I want a cup of tea. So I would love if this impacted you in any way, if this switched a perception, if this gave you a little download, if this just gave you an aha moment. I always love to hear about those. Please do hit me up in the DMs, leave a comment below. And if this podcast is changing your life and the way that you lead yourself and the way that you show up in your business, please drop a review or tick the 5-star. It really helps us spread this movement and create this message further and wider. And I'm always really appreciative of that. And keep tuned because we have got some amazing industry leading guests coming on over the forthcoming weeks, which I'm super excited about. Season 2 is all about the elevation. It's all about the evolution of this podcast and really up-leveling my own game, right? As I said earlier, it's about leading yourself first and showing others how you do that before you lead them. So practice what you preach, talk the talk and walk the walk, so to speak. So keep a listen out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss them. And until next time, I will see you all soon.